to me, if he's referring to Christ coming to redeem all of creation, if there is life out there somewhere other than planet Earth, then that applies to that life as well. So I'm not troubled by it in the least.
Thank you for joining our conversation today. We got Dr. Leslie Wickman in studio, and we're going to be exploring the question of what would happen to Christianity if we find life out there. Leslie, great to have you again today.
Great to be here, Jeff.
So you've made statements before, and statements that I agree with, that you'd almost be surprised if there weren't life out in the universe.
Yeah.
A lot of skeptics, a lot of Christians think if we find life, that's problematic. So what's your take? Do you think we'll actually find life or not?
Well, I think I'd be surprised if there weren't other life out there. I don't know if we will, but like I said, I think I'd be surprised just because my view of God is so big that I think he's so creative that, one instance of human life in history seems a bit small for him.
All right, very good. So I want to kind of hone in on one specific question for a little while, and that is, if we find life out there, how does that reconcile with what we find in the Bible? I mean, we don't find any description of any life out in the cosmos anywhere in Scripture.
Yeah.
Seems like that'd be important enough God might mention that to us.
Well, it's interesting, right? I mean, the Scripture, I think, first and foremost is about knowing God and geared toward our relationship with him.
Okay.
So Scripture doesn't say anything one way or the other about life elsewhere, right? But, I look at John 3:16, which is, a central verse to the Christian faith. For God so loved the world that he sent his son. But, the word in the original Greek for world is cosmos. So for God so loved the cosmos that he sent his son to save us, essentially. So to me, that kind of like, wow, is that referring to possibly life elsewhere? That's very speculative,
Right.
But it's certainly referring to all of God's creation. And so to me, if he's referring to Christ coming to redeem all of creation, if there is life out there somewhere other than planet Earth, then that applies to that life as well. So I'm not troubled by it in the least. And, C.S. Lewis has explored that idea a bit, too, with his space trilogy.
Right.
And anyway, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I think that, like I say, if God did create life elsewhere, then it falls into the salvific provision of Christ.
So there's been a common illustration or a narrative or a story. It's like, if aliens came, landed on the White House lawn, that all the world's religions would have to be rewritten. I tend to disagree with that. I know how I would respond to that, but I'm curious, how would you respond to that if you're going to say, hey, this is, as a Christian, how I would think about this, or what would be going on there?
Exactly. And again, I think, that Christ's redemption extends to all of creation. And we're obviously, as humans, and the only life that we know of, it's, I think, somewhat natural for us to kind of perceive it in a very ethnocentric way, a human-centric, anthropocentric way. But I think, even the scriptures that we have describe the redemption not only of humanity, but of all of creation groans for Christ's return and redemption, right? And so I think that there's a broader theme there, and so that's what I would bring to the table is like, hey, Christ's redemption is for the entire cosmos, not just for humans on the earth, and certainly it applies to the rest of creation.